being a substitute husband. I turned out to be nothing more than a pawn she used to fill the hole her first love left behind. Every corner of our home held reminders of that other man. My blindness and her care for me were only part of the scenery. Once I could see again, I understood that our home, our pictures, our anniversary rituals were all for him. From beginning to end, I was only a breathing substitute. One day, we went to the temple together to light incense and pray for blessings in the year ahead. And that same day, my vision came back. Miraculously, my wife, Ava, was kneeling on the ground as devoutly as ever, hands pressed together in prayer. She murmured, "I will trade 10 years of my life if only the person I love stays safe and healthy after our wedding." Every year on our anniversary, we came to this temple to pray. It became our own little tradition. The old head monk who knew us well complimented Ava every year on her steadfast heart and deep affection. Even the visitors around us were touched by her sincerity. Everyone pitched in to help Ava hang that wooden prayer plaque. Covered in her wishes on the tallest branch of the ginkgo tree in the yard, the name on the plaque was Mark, but I don't go by that name. Mark was Ava's old boyfriend. I had planned to surprise her today by telling her I could see again to really catch her off guard. What I saw instead left me frozen stiff. Where I stood, her best friend who had come along actually mouthed words right in front of me, without any shame, deliberately forming silent words. To Ava, I read her lips perfectly. "You've got some nerve, aren't you scared he'll find out?" Ava looked playful and unconcerned, shot back at her. "Why would I be scared? He's blind. Even if he knew, he wouldn't dare leave me," that assured. Cocky look on her face. In my newly seeing eyes was crystal clear. Dizziness shot up from my feet, nearly knocking me off balance. I stumbled, lost my footing. Ava rushed over and grabbed me. That familiar smell of citrus filled my nose in an instant, but all I felt inside was a wave of bitterness and disgust. She asked nervously, "Why didn't you tell me you felt bad sooner? Should we go to the hospital now?" Without thinking, I said, "But we said we'd have lunch with friends this afternoon. Isn't that right?" "Ava, what are you saying?" The concern on her face seemed so genuine, a look I had never seen before all these years. She had always acted like I was everything to her. Not once had she shown any frustration over my blindness. She stayed with me, took care of me, accommodated me, making me believe her entire world was centered on me. But the next moment, she waved over the woman who had been trailing behind her to help me into the car. What sent chills down my spine was when that woman spoke. Her voice was identical to Ava's. She said, "No meal is more important than you. You are my husband. Of course, I want to be with you. The hospital comes first." She strained to help me into the car, one hand gripping my arm hard, her head leaning lightly against me. Ava, standing outside, was still signaling to her friend, mouthing clearly, "You guys go have a good birthday party for Mark." In that instant, all the little pieces of doubt suddenly came together. I finally got it why. Even though Ava was so busy, she was almost always by my side. Why? As my wife, she looked after me the same way for a decade, never once seeming annoyed. It turned out deceiving a blind man is just too easy. I was sitting in the car watching the streets rush past outside for a man who had only just started seeing again. It should have all been new and thrilling, but I didn't feel like admiring any of it. The sunglasses on my face perfectly covered my newly healed eyes. I forced myself to empty my head of all distractions, letting my mind drift back to that name. Mark, the first time I heard that name, my eyes were still good. Then he was the big man on campus. Everyone knew him, bright as a little sun. The second time I heard it was after I went blind. A friend told me in secret that Ava had once dated a guy named Mark, but back then Ava was already with me. That night Ava didn't come back. I sat in the dark all night. I had already made up my mind to end it, but the next morning, out of nowhere, Ava came home stumbling. She looked completely hollowed out. She collapsed into my chest, sobbing so hard she could hardly catch her breath. She said through tears, "James, you're all I have now. Will you marry me?" That night, she wasn't even with Mark. She personally put him on a plane overseas after he took off yesterday. She drank by herself, cried by herself, getting all her feelings out in secret. She hadn't betrayed me. She just needed to put a period on her first, love herself with her own hand. Back then, I believed with all my heart. I was naive enough to think that she stayed and picked me because she loved me more than she loved that guy, Mark. She cried so hard over Mark leaving, but when it came to me, she always seemed indifferent and not too bothered sometimes when we visited her folks. For the holidays, those wild little cousins loved to tease me about being blind, even pull little tricks on me. Every time I couldn't hold back my temper and try to tell them off, she would always say, "They're only kids, James. Don't you like kids?" But I knew the truth. Mark was the one who said he liked kids, not me. I told her again and again I hated it more than anything when people joked about my blindness, yet every time it happened she would put on that innocent face like she had no idea. She always claimed it was just an oversight, begged me not to be so mean or so picky, but deep down I knew the things that get forgotten over and over and never really accidents, but I still pretended not to notice, telling myself she just had a poor memory. She hadn't forgotten at all. She just chose to remember someone else instead. The woman who took me home the second the door opened, I stood there completely stunned, even started to wonder if my newly returned vision was tricking me. I asked carefully, "What's our home style again?" Her voice shook a little. "The kind you love, light blue and white." Simple modern liar. What I saw was nothing but dark brown wood furniture and antique-style decorations in every room, nothing like light colors or modern, not even close. I suddenly thought of when we first fixed up the place. Ava had come to ask what I thought. I said with a sad smile, "I'm blind now. I can't see anything. Life has lost its color. Just do whatever you like." She pouted and said, almost crying, "But even if you can't see, you still deserve to live somewhere that makes you feel at ease. It doesn't matter that you're blind. What matters is that you feel good inside." We talked it over seriously and settled on a fresh, simple look. But now I saw it all. It was all just a show she put on for me. And I had been so foolish thinking she actually cared, and thanked her from the bottom of my heart while talking to the construction guys. Only now did I realize the home I had lived in all those years had been designed from top to bottom in Mark's favorite style. I finally got it when the workers had half-heartedly gone along with my ideas. Why they had looked so cold, I had assumed they were sneering at my taste, laughing at a blind man's picks. But I was the one being played all along, believing every bit of it, like a clown talking to himself. The woman helped me to the bedroom. I sat on the edge of the bed. My eyes landed on the frame hanging there that should have been our wedding picture, but now it showed a man and a woman holding hands with fingers laced together. Rage burned in my chest until I could barely breathe. I couldn't face it that for so long I had been living inside a lie made of false hopes. The sky turned dark with the sunset. I heard the lock click. The woman who had driven me was gone. Ava was back. She hurried to my side and pressed herself into my chest. "Darling, I love you so much." The usual citrus smell hit me, but it was drowned out by a strong stench of cigarettes. Before I could say anything, she hummed a little song and bounced off the bed. "I'll go open some wine. Darling, let's celebrate our anniversary at home tonight." Her phone, tossed carelessly on the bed, vibrated. The first thing I saw was a lock screen image, a man's back. It wasn't me. Then 3 texts came through. The first said, "Ava, thanks for being with me on my birthday. Having you there was the best birthday I've had in years." The second, "I'm already back in the country. Are you really going to keep living with that substitute?" The third, "We let too many chances slip away before. I feel this time we should both give each other a chance to make things right." My heart dropped. Then I heard Ava call from outside telling me dinner was ready. I told myself today I would ask her about everything. I wouldn't let my marriage become nothing but a joke. Even if it was over, it deserved at least a little dignity. But when I opened the door, I froze all over again. A man sat on the sofa. He looked almost exactly like me, smirking at me like a challenge. Ava said, "This is my cousin from out of town. He's joining us for dinner." She came out from the kitchen and joked on purpose, "James, why are you still wearing shades inside?" I pushed down the anger in my chest bit by bit. My eyes really hurt today. My big orange cat rubbed silently against my leg like it was trying to comfort me with care. Even the cat could sense something off, but my wife, who should have known me best, didn't seem to notice a thing. She just said, "Oh," flatly, and turned to call her cousin to the table. Ava, who never went near the kitchen, actually made dinner herself tonight, laying out a whole meal. Watching the two of them exchange looks like nothing was wrong, I had no interest at all in asking her anything. My stomach was in knots. The maid we hire by the hour was one of Ava's distant relatives. She rarely made meals when she was supposed to. I often went hungry, waiting until I messed up my stomach, maybe to avoid giving me any reason to complain. She began serving me old leftovers that weren't fresh. The meat always had a sour smell. I finally lost it and fired her on the spot. I thought Ava would comfort me, and say she was sorry instead. She opened with yelling at me for overreacting, accusing me of picking on an elderly woman, nitpicking for no reason, and calling me wasteful, and saying I didn't appreciate how hard others had it. Yet this woman, who was always going on about how hard others work and not to be wasteful, had once thrown out a whole plate of food just because Mark said there was a hi or on the chicken straight into the garbage. I left early that day, not wanting to be the useless extra in their eyes. I went to bed early that night, planning to end it all on our anniversary. Bits of memories from college played over and over in my dreams. I woke up again and again that night. Ava back then was the undisputed beauty queen of Seacrest University, radiant and bright like the first sunlight of spring. People said the beauty belongs with the genius. Ava and Mark together were like a match made in heaven. That was also when people began to notice Mark, and I looked a lot alike. Why did no one ever say he looked like me instead of me looking like him? Back then, I had a secret crush on Ava too. Watching them as a couple, I was jealous and bitter toward Mark. I had meant to work up the nerve to tell her how I felt, but then that fire took my vision from me. I had to bury those thoughts deep inside. Because of my blindness, I had to withdraw from school for a while. People kept whispering and fine ting behind me. Some felt sorry for me. Some were glad it happened. Ava stepped in and shielded me from the gossip. She announced to everyone, "You make fun of other people's bad luck. Do you really think that puts you above him? Fate isn't kind to anyone. You might be in the sunshine today, but tomorrow you could be in the dark too." Once things settled, she quietly held my hand and walked me out of school one step at a time. I thought she was just feeling sorry for me in a moment, but then she kept showing up in my life over and over. I finally gave in and told her how I felt, and she said yes without hesitation, and we got together until I later learned bitterly that she only did it to rebel against her folks. Back then, Mark and I were in a similar position. After the fire, one turned silent like a mute, the other became truly blind. Her parents were dead set against her dating Mark, so she just picked a blind guy like me instead as her banner of defiance. Maybe even she didn't expect this reckless act of rebellion would last 10 whole years now. With Mark back home, everything she had done lately had already spelled out where this marriage was headed. I got up early the next morning, signed the divorce papers, picked up my cat, and got ready to go. I ran right into Mark at the door. He had stayed in the guest room last night. He was blocking the door, smirking, and stuck his foot out on purpose. I stomped on it. Without thinking twice, he hit the floor in pain right away. But he didn't make a peep. Ava heard the commotion, rushed out of the bedroom shouting, "Mark!" She pushed me away, roughly, completely focused on helping him. She sounded worried and angry. "James, watch where you're going. You bumped into my cousin." I watched it all calmly. I didn't feel sad at all, only found it ridiculous. I mean, really, who tells a blind person, "Can't you look where you're going?" She had jumped out of bed with her hair a mess over just that noise. But she didn't even notice the divorce papers on the nightstand. Every bit of her focus was on Mark in that second. I finally saw her for who she was. I was relieved to be awake at last. Leaving her now wasn't too late. Mark wrote on her palm, "I saw it clear as day with you here. It doesn't hurt at all." Ava's eyes were red. She held him tight, sobbing, "James, say sorry to my cousin this instant." I ignored her completely and walked right out the door. She didn't ask where I was off to, just yelled after me, "Are you blind and deaf too? Don't you ever come back?" 3 days after I left, I found a tiny place to rent and started applying for jobs everywhere. Since I didn't have a degree, there weren't many opportunities. Finally, only a small business would hire me as a security guard every day after work. I came home to that little place, and just me and my cat, staring at each other during that time. Ava never once came to find me. Whether she knew I could see again or not, she wouldn't have come. Just like the day she told her friend, so sure of herself, he wouldn't dare. She was always arrogant in her confidence, believing that as long as she didn't give in, I would be the one to back down first. One day, I took my cat to get washed at the pet store. While I was waiting, I saw Mark come in holding a stray dog. Ava was with him. They didn't see me. I tugged my cap down, and from the dark watched every little move they made. Mark wrote on her palm. Like always, she looked down and spoke gently. "Mark, you're so sweet. You go rescue stray dogs. Not like that blind guy at all. He's so petty. I'm never talking to him again." That fire back then, you were the one who ran in to save me, and that's why you lost your voice. It was my fault back then. I just want you to know I'll make it up to you forever. Mark stepped closer and hugged Ava. She rested her head on his chest. After a long moment, Ava's eyes were still teary. She pushed him away and said she needed to go to the bathroom to collect herself. Then my phone rang. She said, "Honey, what's this about the divorce papers? Don't threaten me like that. I'm really worried. Please come home. Guilt only comes after betrayal." I laughed bitterly and said, "Go back to what to see your first love's pictures all over the walls." Her voice shook. "You can see again." I just said, when I raised my eyes, I saw Mark's smile vanish. Right away, he dropped the stray dog like it was garbage, and that second his face turned dark. And he brushed the hair off his sleeves with disgust. What really shocked me, he actually started talking. "Just have it put down, then tell my girlfriend it. Couldn't survive. I don't want to take care of something so dirty." He was never really mute. He had been pretending all along. He just argued with the clerk like he had every right. And on the phone, Ava's voice came back. Her tone was twisted and self-righteous. "Fine. I was wrong to put his pictures up. That was my mistake. What about you lying to me? I hate being lied to more than anything. Why didn't you tell me right away when your sight came back? Did you enjoy fooling me? I've been so worried. I never thought you would be like this. You disgust me. If you're really a man, then come back now and say you're sorry." I laughed bitterly and copied her accusing voice. "You're right. I shouldn't have kept it from you. But who gave you the right to yell at me?" Ava was furious. If you hate being tricked so much, let me play you something." I put the phone near Mark so she could hear him fighting with the cashier. I said with a smile, "Your Mark sounds pretty healthy to me. You think it was your prayer at the temple, or has he been faking it and lying to you all along?" Just then Mark saw my cat come out from its wash, and he saw me too. He hurried over and ended my call. "You were never really blind, were you?" I watched him with amusement, pointed toward the bathroom. "I got better, but you've been pretending this whole time. Haven't you wanted to tell Ava?" Mark sneered. "Who do you think she'll trust? You'll always be the substitute." I laughed too. "Fine, I'll be the substitute. At least now I can get whatever I want. That's more than you. You just have to go back and clean up after everyone." His expression went cold. He grabbed me by the collar and pulled back to throw a punch. After years of being blind, I hadn't practiced fighting at all. I was no match for him, but I yelled, "Orange!" The next moment, 6 red claw marks showed up on Mark's face. He screamed and stumbled back. I was ready to finish him off when someone screamed furiously behind me, "James, you make me sick. You just got your vision back, and you're already attacking people. You'll get yours one day." Mark, next to her, made a sign. Ava's eyes teared up right away. If she had bothered to look at me, she would have noticed my collar was a mess, but she didn't. She just kept accusing. "Weren't you just telling me that Mark wasn't really mute? If he can talk, why didn't he scream for help? When you were hitting him, look what you did to him. James, what's wrong with you?" I didn't bother answering. I used to think she knew me best, but the truth was she never had. I also thought she would at least know Mark better, but she couldn't even recognize his voice on the phone. When that hit me, I just thought it was hilarious and shook my head. Ava thought my gesture meant, "You messed up. Don't you say sorry now, and I'll forget it all, and we'll call off the divorce." I almost laughed. "You still don't get it. I really am leaving you since I got my sight back. I could see everything now. The woman you hired to pretend to be you, the trips to the temple, where you had me pray for Mark, and the pictures of him all over the house. That's more than enough. We are done." She finally looked a little flustered, her voice shaking. "Those are all old things. I've changed now. I can explain everything." I laughed coldly. "Explain how you tricked a blind man." I didn't waste another word on her or look at Mark's smug face. I walked away. After that, Ava called me over and over. I blocked her number. Then she used Mark's number. "James, the papers are lost. I reprinted them. Can you come sign them?" I was at work then. I didn't answer her directly, just sent her the office address. "Sign them and mail them here," she said. "Do you really hate me that much? Won't you even come see me?" I ignored her and hung up. As a guard, I had a lot of responsibilities. Keeping the peace, watching the entrance, and doing rounds were all part of it. I wasn't anyone's personal butler or a toy she could use whenever she felt like it. The next moment, my supervisor yelled, "What are you doing standing there? Are you blind? Get over here and park that car." No choice. I was also doing valet parking there a little later. I had just finished parking one, and my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't Ava. It was Mark's mocking tone. "I just saw your text. You work here too?" "Huh, too bad. From what I hear, they're not recruiting, just short of security guards." A moment, he spoke. A car pulled up right in front of me. I raised my head and met the driver's eyes. Mark smirked proudly and stepped out slow. The sun gleamed on his pricey jacket, making my gray uniform look even worse. He smirked with a nasty look. "Hey, little guard, come park my car." The way he said it like he was calling a dog. The bad part was I still needed this job. So I gritted my teeth and got in his car and parked it for him like a good boy. Then he grinned again. "Hey, little guard, pull it back out." I have a meeting. He didn't even try to fake it anymore. I didn't care enough to expose him. Ava was so gullible. She actually believed a mute could be a corporate executive. She would believe anything. I was grinding my teeth, but I still pulled it out for him. And so back and forth again and again, he turned me into an expert at backing into spots in the garage. Close to noon mark, even brought a little stool and sat down eating and drinking while ordering me to pull it back, and I was pissed. So he wanted me to skip lunch too. Fine, you won't feed me. Then you won't eat easy either. I floored it and then slammed the brakes, the food in his hands, went all over him. That expensive suit was trashed. I smiled wide. Sorry about that, mister. Edwards, my leg was shaking. His face went red. He ran at me and yanked me out of the car and punched me in the stomach. It hurt so bad. I stumbled back and slammed into the door. The door caved in a bit. Mark's eyes went red with rage. He grabbed me by the hair and tried to bash my head into the door. But right when he lifted his arm, he probably remembered it was his baby and stopped for a second. I took that chance and thought of my cat Orange. I turned fast and clawed at his face. It turned into a brawl. He threw one punch. I scratched back. We ended up with me pinching his nose and him choking me. My face was black and blue. His head was bleeding from scratches I gave out first and hit the ground right before I blacked out. I saw a familiar shape running my way. When I woke up, I was in a familiar hospital room. The air smelled like lilies. This was a hospital I often stayed in when I was in college. Every time I was there, Ava would bring me a bundle of lilies that she saved me. This time I snatched the lilies from the nightstand and threw them away. I tried to get up and leave. The moment I moved, the door opened, but it wasn't her, the woman who came and glanced at the flowers. You're awake, don't get up. It was the woman who had been pretending to be Ava, still using Ava's voice. I shook my head. Even if Ava saved me this time, I still won out. To my surprise, she laughed. It wasn't her, it was me. As if she realized that sounded strange, she added, I'm not trying to make you grateful. I just wanted to pay you back. I scratched my head. Lost. She smiled softly. Hey, seen you that fire back at the school. You saved me. I froze for a few seconds. The memories came back when the building caught fire. I ran and looking for Ava, but I couldn't find her. Then I turned and met another student right. Then the wooden beam from the ceiling fell. I shoved her aside and got pinned under it myself. After that, I lost my sight. She bent down and said, half kidding, if we live in the old days, I would have probably offered myself to you already, but you were already with Ava. Then she stopped for a second and then went on. So I applied to be her assistant, became her substitute. All these years I've been like your shadow, always nearby. Does that make me an idiot? I was totally stunned. I couldn't take it all in at once. She blushed a little and apologized awkwardly. I'm sorry, I never said anything all this time. I asked without looking up. How long did you do this? She answered. From the day you lost your sight. I asked. When I was with you too, all those years. Which times were you? And which times were her? She said. The first 3 years were mostly me. She would fill in every now, and then her voice got quieter. In that second, everything weird suddenly made sense. So that was why Ava was always so inconsistent. It turned out the one I really loved was her all along, not Ava. I looked at her badge. Hannah, then saw the light scar on her left hand. My mind flashed back to the day I withdrew from college. It was Willow who stood up for me and walked me out. The hand I touched had a rough palm. I said, when I dropped out, who chased away all those people gossiping? It was me. I was using her voice back then. I'm sorry, I knew you liked her, so I used her voice like that to be near you. Hannah said all that without stopping. Then her phone rang. She took the call and rushed out. It was clear she was uncomfortable for a moment. I thought she might not come back, but to my surprise, every day I was in the hospital, she visited me. I couldn't eat the hospital meals. Hannah started cooking and bringing me food. Those flavors were way too familiar. I realized when Ava cooked for Makoto, once most of the dishes were things I was allergic to. That explained it. All those years, so-called meals that Ava cooked just for me were really all made by Hannah. The things that made me believe that Ava actually cared about me had always been Hannah's quiet kindness up until my discharge. Ava never came once, but the divorce papers were brought right to my room. I signed them right there and took them a mark for a signature. He looked at the papers and sneered. So you finally came to your senses. He was still in bandages. Tolbu. T still looked proud and had no intention of leaving me alone. He stayed there and kept bossing me around, making me practice parking over and over. Then he saw me get better at it, even watching short videos while parking. So he moved me to his team to be his personal errand boy. One day, I was running around like crazy, barely finished all the little tasks. Then he told me to go make tea for the guests, asking for the most expensive tea I Came in with 2 cups, he yelled in front of everyone. Are you out of your mind? There are 3 of us, and you only brought 2 cups if you have no manners. At least don't make us look bad. I shot him a dirty look and went back for more. Then out of nowhere, he stuck his foot out. I tripped and spilled all the tea on the customer. I was furious before I could say anything. He started yelling first. Worthless? What good are you except causing problems? And he raised his fist ready to hit me when a woman's voice came from the door. Is this how your company treats your staff? Then we don't need to work together. I looked back. Hannah was walking and her presence filled the whole room. The next moment, the guests immediately bowed. Miss Anna. Mark tried to apologize. It's a mistake. All a mistake. Hannah didn't glance at him and pulled me out of the room. She carefully cleaned the burn mark from the tea. She looked at me with worry. Does it hurt, Senior? I said. It's okay. I wouldn't have noticed. It made her sadder. The cut is so deep, and you say it's nothing. I stared at that tiny scratch. You could hardly see, feeling a bit dazed. When we went back to the door, the owner was yelling at Mark in front of everyone. Mark ran up to us, apologizing like crazy, almost on his knees. Then Hannah looked at me and asked, did you hear someone speak? I got it right away. She knew Mark was pretending. I smiled and shook my head. Miss Anna, you're kidding, Mr. Edwards never talks, Hannah announced right there, ending business with Mark's team. Mark got demoted. He was about to lose it. That wasn't my problem anymore. I moved to Hannah's company soon after. I found out later Mark had been trying to find someone to get back at me. Or maybe he wanted to use a new business talk to fix his reputation at work. Who would have thought the one Mark sent to negotiate was Ava? She looked at Hannah, all powerful, and was surprised. Then she saw me and smirked. Some female boss, just a homewrecker stealing someone else's husband. No decency. Hannah snapped back. Keep running your mouth like that, and I'll have you thrown out. Ava didn't even look at her, put her eyes back on me. Anna, you're a vicious woman hanging around my husband all this time. You planned to take him from the start, but you want to bet I snapped my fingers and he'll be back. Then she headed out and waved. I kept quiet, but I still followed her, leaving Hannah there outside the door. Ava jumped into my arms. James, I knew it. You still love me. She had on that dress that I had picked out with her when I was blind. She had led me around the shop and had me feel each fabric so we could find a perfect one for her eye. Couldn't see it then, but I recognized it immediately from how it felt. She whispered, you know how I am. I was just angry and not thinking straight. She almost never called me. The hearing her say it almost took me back to our first years together. But right after she said, can you talk to Anna and not cancel Mark's deal? I said, no, why not? Mark can't even talk now, and he worked so hard to become a manager. I said. So what? She stared. How can you be so cold? Can't you give him a break? So what? I said flatly. She clenched her jaw, trying to stay sweet. Please, honey, I owe Mark. Just think of it as paying him back just this time. All right, you love me so much you'll help me. Right? I paused for a moment. I don't love you. I followed you out here only because I didn't want you calling her names in front of Anna. I could tell Hannah had feelings for me and had done a lot for me. I couldn't stand her being called a homewrecker in public, so I prefer to put some space between me and Ava first. You signed the papers too, didn't you? We just need to make it official. Ava's jaw dropped. Signed? When did I sign? That's fine. I nodded. Then we can sign there at the courthouse tomorrow at 9. Okay. She looked shocked and grabbed my sleeve. Are you really in such a hurry to dump me? Fine. Forget helping Mar. Please come back. She finally understood. I was really leaving her. Her tears started falling. She didn't care about how she looked. James, I love you. I really can't be. Without you, what would I do? I got used to coming home and seeing the lights on someone there waiting for me, treating me like their whole world. That's love. But to me, her idea of love was just being used to having everyone focus on her. She wanted someone who always had the light on for her, not an equal partner. She was sobbing hard. Soon a crowd formed to watch. People were muttering their eyes on me, probably saw me as a jerk who left his wife. I looked at the people gathering around and spoke. You just asked how you would live without me, but without me, you still have Mark. When I couldn't see you, took me to the temple, and while I couldn't see you, wrote Mark's name on the wish the place on the wall for our wedding picture. You put a photo of you and Mark holding hands. The worst of all, you brought him to our house for dinner. Thinking I was blind, you fed each other right in front of me. And now you ask me, how would you live without me? Without me, would your Mark even be able to do anything? I finished all that in one go. Hannah came up and pulled Ava back. She added, on your anniversary, you left him by himself to go celebrate Mark's birthday. Did you ever think about how he managed in the dark all alone after he moved out? What did you and Mark do? And they want me to remind you, while you were still married, how many awful things did you do? And now you want to make it up to him? You don't deserve him. Hannah's speech left Ava with nothing to say. All along, she had stayed near me, knew better than anyone what Ava had been up to. The crowd got the whole picture, slowly left and looked at me with some pity, but Ava still didn't give up. No, James still loves me. We can still make it. I didn't bother answering. It was all too late. I stayed quiet. Hannah stepped in front of me again. You should see a doctor about your brain, actually. It's not surprising you believe a mute could be a business executive. So of course your head isn't too clear anyway. Those people are a little slow. Then Hannah's phone rang. She put it on speaker. To my surprise, it was Mark. Miss Anna, I was in the wrong before. I'm truly sorry. Our company will do better with how we treat our staff. But as for our work together, we will give you our best service. Hannah, turn the volume up. I saw Ava's face turn bright red. She bit her lip, took one more look at me, and walked away. Maybe that was when she finally got it. If she had trusted me just a little, none of this would have happened. But there's no going back. I watched her walk away, feeling nothing, no joy in getting back at her, no regret. Either probably because neither Ava nor Mark mattered at all to me anymore. Hannah elbowed me lightly. Was I too mean back there? I laughed and shook my head. Not mean enough. Miss Anna, you went easy on her. Ava still wouldn't agree to the divorce, trying everything to get my attention. She began spending hours making bento boxes, standing at the office door, just so I would try her lovingly made meals. I just looked at it and threw it all in the garbage. She stared at me. How could you treat me like this? I stayed calm. I don't eat shellfish. Don't you know I'm allergic? If we're trying to make up for everything now could erase all that pain, then the courthouse could shut down for good. But the phrase heal and forget never worked on me. But for her, it's the perfect description. Look at what happened. Mark was right there supporting her. Ava, leave him. I won't let you keep lowering yourself like this. Ava shook her head. No, she still kept coming and waiting for me at the office. Finally, one day, she passed out from the heat outside. Mark didn't hesitate. He brought a bunch of people to the office to start a fight, yelling and pointing at me. He never cared about your love. He only got this job because a rich woman protected him. A co-worker slapped my sales record right in his face. I heard you went to the same school as James. You didn't. Graduate, but his numbers are way better than yours. Some guys can't close a deal without a woman to save them, and they call other people moocher. Security kicked them all out. I found out later Mark got fired over it. After all that drama, Ava finally decided to end it. As for Mark, now jobless, he started chasing her like crazy to prove himself. How did I find out? Ava told me. She actually believed I would be jealous. She told me seriously, if you just come back, I'll turn Mark down right away. I answered with just one move. I deleted her from everything soon after I found out they were together. They even sent me an invitation. The date was set for it. Was our anniversary the day we became a couple. That was just to make me sick. I was wondering if I should say no. Hannah showed up with a USB drive and a file. They found this video when they fixed up the old campus. It had me. Ava and her first love. Mark. The video showed what really happened in the fire. Mark started the fire on purpose. When it was still small, he ran in and rescued Ava. Hannah looked confused. Why would he do that? I said. Maybe he wanted to act out a rescue show. Hannah nodded, thinking, then played the second clip. In it, it was me running into the flames, pushing Hannah aside. She watched it again, and again her eyes lit up. James, you saved me that day and lost your sight for it. So I wanted all those years you were blind to be your eyes for you and stay close to you. When we want to pray, I was the one who hung the wish for you. I wish for you to see again and to see the lies and the bad people. The truth is right in front of us. Let's give this to the cops. Everyone who hurt you needs to answer for it. I nodded and held her hand. I put all the proof together and took it to the station. The whole thing was almost laughable. Ava's parents always looked down on Mark for being poor, so he planned a hero stunt to win over her parents, but he didn't expect he would lose his voice for a while, and he really didn't expect that Ava's mom would pay him off to get him out of her daughter's life for good. As thanks for the rescue, she gave him cash and forced him to go away, or else afraid of being crushed, he left the country. When he returned, Ava and I were together, so he just faked being mute to make Ava feel guilty and to tear us apart. That's cold and cruel. And Ava was actually ready to marry him the day they got engaged. I texted her just to see what would happen. Did you ever think that Mark started that fire? I planned to see them fight right there. But Ava wrote back right away. Why are you lying about Mark? Are you scared I'll be better off than you? I had no words on second thought. It was totally expected in the end, though. I got the show I wanted. After all, she didn't believe me, but she was still nervous. The cops showed up at the engagement party. and took Mark away in front of everyone. Ava was already pregnant by then. She didn't care about herself and attacked him, but regret didn't matter. It was over that night. Ava called, "I'm sorry." She said, "I didn't get it," for what she sniffed and went on. "I always thought I owed Mark, but now it seems he and I owe you together. Because of him, you would never have lost your sight. And I was so stubborn that I pushed us together and ended up hurting you and ruining myself." Sah, you wouldn't stop saying sorry. I didn't answer. Finally, she cried. "The truth is the baby I'm carrying is yours. But when I found out we were already apart, he promised to take care of it. So I said yes, I said. Don't joke about that, or I'll actually laugh." Ava was cried too much to talk. She took a while to say, "I'm not lying. The baby is really yours. Please come back. I'll make it right." I stayed calm and said, "You got it wrong. Don't think I'll buy that, even if I did. So what do you actually believe? You can trap me with a child, forget it, wait for Mark to get out of jail. You two deserve each other. I'll tell you again, don't come near me again." My cat licked my hand. The moonlight hit the roses by the window that I had given Hannah the day before I asked her to marry me yesterday. She said yes through my worst years. She stuck with me. I won't fail her on the phone. Ava kept saying things I didn't answer. She finally hung up. I heard later she lost the baby. It broke her completely. She moved far away, a lone rumor had it she opened a flower shop only selling lilies on our wedding day. We got a lot of lilies too, but by then I didn't like lilies anymore. Don't be someone else's cheap replacement inside their past fantasies. Real love means seeing the real you, not chasing someone else's ghost. Walking away from the wrong person isn't a loss. It's giving yourself back your freedom. May you never be the sequel to anyone else's story again. May you have the eyes to see through the lies and the strength to build yourself back up. Be your own light.